Christoph Ridley, the referee. He'll be looking forward to the thrill of taking charge of Wales and Ireland in the Six Nations next month. Craig Maxwell-Keys, John Meredith, his touch judges, Andrew Jackson, the TMO. 4 days into the new year, a fixture they've been playing since 1899. Leicester and Exeter in a bone-chillingly cold East Midlands, with snow apparently not far away. This to provide at least a couple of hours of warmth. Pollard kicking off to the left when he'd shaped to the right, but it didn't bamboozle David Jenkins, who was safe under the first catch.
Use it inside.
And left-footed Stu Townsend, scrum half again today for the Chiefs. The first of many for Freddie Stewart. Jack Van Portfleet.
Obstruction by 9 Green.
Picked out by John Meredith.
By 9 Green, knocked the player to ground.
The assistant referee down below us.
Collision, bottom left of your screen. Freddie Stewart leaves his foot high. Just trying to dissuade Vermeulen from making the hit.
I'd be sending him a Christmas hamper if I knew he was playing that following week. He's certainly fired up, Vermeulen. I was watching him in the warm-up. He was hitting his own players.
Dan Frost, central to the Chiefs' first Premiership win of the season last weekend. Player of the match.
Good timing on insert.
Earliest of tries. Finds his target in Roots, and Frost again involving himself, and then the kick, and then the chase, and the hope, and oof, Freddie Stewart did very well. That bounce was not kind. How cool.
That's a really nice piece of skill from Freddie Stewart. Frost, to begin with, actually goes the wrong way. I don't think he hears the play. He's just putting his hand up there. He's already run around the other side, and that's why the pass isn't on. He's the last guy, Van Portfleet there. Frost gets there eventually, otherwise he'd have been clear away.
Another Chiefs throw, this time to Franco Molina, the Puma. Townsend nice and flat. Chiefs setting camp just outside Leicester's 22 for the first time. Fisselau. And he's shoved over by the rest of his mates. This is Scott Seo. He does well, the Wallaby World Cup finalist. Leicester having a little look. Montosha was there.
You're not the first man.
It's too tempting for the Argentinian.
Number 2 can't go for the ball. He's number 2. He's not the first man.
They'd disrupted Exeter, slowed them down, done the first job, and the ball just bobbled out. And see Montoya here. Hayes in and around there. And then he's late to arrive and uses his hands. But they'd sort of created the carnage that they wanted to. Just a little knock forward from the knee of the clear-out player. I think it was Marcus Street.
Positive start from the Chiefs, isn't it? Playing some nice stuff, and I think this is a good decision, taking the 3. Easy kick in front of the posts. Their red zone numbers have been pretty poor on completion this season. Just start building a score, 3, 6, 9. Take a lot of pressure off.
Early energy from Exeter. Early points. Henry Slades, Leicester 0, Exeter 3. England centre at fly half again today. He's added plenty of ambition, vision, and all the experience that Rob Baxter was hoping for when they made the switch. After the Autumn Nations series, again, David Jenkins hoisted highest, the skipper.
Use it.
At their best, Exeter were always a possession side, more than anyone else. They like to hold on to the ball for large chunks. Look very good there. Had to question that a little bit this year as to whether that's the right tactic, but they'll be very happy early on to have lots of the ball.
Extra advantage
over.
On the half volley for Frost. Advantage is gone. Pollard heading back and lets the ball just dribble over the line.
This is really unfortunate. Not sure we'll have time, but Frost here, if it goes straight to Frost rather than Slade putting his hands up, I think they're away. They've got numbers down this side, really quick spot and turn around, but just catches Slade's hand, goes backwards, according to the referee, that goes straight to Frost's hand. They had a big overlap. I think they would have been running into space rather than kicking ahead.
Gather for Hodge. His roots. 2024, the year that brought him 4 England caps.
Let's go.
Townsend, Slade. Hodge involving himself again. Tommy Wyatt is covering at fullback, the winger, while Hodge is in the thick of things here. Slade. There is Wyatt. It's away by Tamati Tua.
Just looking at the line speed here, Cam Henderson leads the lineup. Exeter then have to stand and deliver. They can't run onto the ball. And Leicester go up hard, and then Ollie Hassel-Collins, as soon as he's done his job, stops and checks and goes to the wide channel. That takes away all the attacking momentum they have to kick through.
You saw that exact play last week, and Tua threw the interception, whereas Hassel-Collins stops running. If he keeps running 2 more paces, he takes the ball. Because you watch Tua's eyes, not looking where the ball's going.
Well, it's felt like all Exeter so far, and the possession statistics will underline that. Leicester looking to address this with Montosha, whose early penalty has cost them early points.
Use it.
Ollie Hassel-Collins looking skyward, and he got there first ahead of Wyatt.
It's been brilliant aerially over the last couple of weeks, Hassel-Collins.
Backwards off Pollard, according to the referee, Christoph Ridley. To nobody in particular.
If he goes. Let's go, play on.
Taken quickly by Exeter, involving Hodge, and Hodge tries to cotton on to Frost. That's gone forwards.
Nothing coming, knock on. Time off. I can see.
If you're drawing up a short list of Leicester's players over the first half of the season, Ollie Hassel-Collins would be on it. He might even be top of it. He really feels as if he's belonging in that shirt this season.
He certainly played well over the last 3 games for the Tigers. Start of the season, those question marks defensively. It looks like he's increased that work rate. But overall, he's got so much potential. He's one of the players in that Leicester backline. You know, a little bit like JVP at the minute, who have arguably been cruising for 6 months. If they can really step up their intensity, their psychology of how they're playing, I think you can see big advances for them. Weird saying that about JVP, isn't it? Because he was the incumbent 9, had that unfortunate injury before the World Cup. Then he's had to find his way back to fitness. It's really hard after you've had a major injury to back yourself to do the things you did before it. But it comes eventually. Top of the try-scoring charts, Hassel-Collins as well.
Pete, talk me through what you've got at the moment.
They haven't. He's the only guy really, arguably, in that back line that's got a lot of pace.
Standing up, he's retrieving the ball, standing up into contact.
Josh Bassett, who's causing some concern for Leicester at the moment.
TMO's had a look, he said it's not foul play. He just stands up into the collision. So the TMO's saying it's unavoidable.
You'll have heard Andrew Jackson say that this was nothing more than an accident. Bassett and Slade.
Of course, yeah.
He is high though, Nick. He does come from a low position to high, but he is high on the contact.
It's a fair point, because the ball's bobbling around on the floor. It's an awkward dynamic, isn't it? There's still accidents. Good question.
Christoph Ridley, the referee today. Andrew Jackson, the TMO. Still concerned for Josh Bassett. Back on the wing today for Leicester, ahead of Mike Brown, who started against his old mates at the Allianz Stadium at Twickenham. Now, is he going to have to head off for an HIA? Or is he all right to carry on?
They're more worried about his neck, aren't they? Sort of one of those compression injuries where your head's down and the contact comes on the top of the head, just squashes everything back into your shoulders.
Crouch. Bind.
Nicky Smith against Marcus Street. Scott Seo and Joe Hayes on the other side. Leicester thinking they've got a half an advantage here. They've got more than that. They've got a full penalty.
Hinge, loose head, hinge.
Penalty going against Seo.
It's been one of the positives.
Back you go. Loose head, hinge.
Leicester's game over the last 3 weeks, which overall hasn't been overly positive. But their scrum, certainly, Nicky Smith and Joe Hayes doing a great job. Scott Seo just levers Joe Hayes down there. Haven't really had a foothold attacking-wise into this game. They spilt ball, given Exeter opportunity to hold on to it.
Thank you.
Looks like they're going to run their standard setup play. They've got Cracknell in the midfield. Normally runs off Pollard, and then they run Catter short in the second phase. Let's see if they do the same thing here.
Tommy Raffel was there as well, but it went beyond both Raffel and Cracknell to release the backs, but Chiefs up quickly.
Use.
It's Harry Wells. Wells for Martin in the second row today.
Use it, Green.
For Hassel Collins to chase again.
It's one to compete for. Hodge came up and it was shoveled back by Hassel Collins nicely. He's hurt his left shoulder in the process.
That's an area where he has been very good in recent weeks, Nick. Reclaiming box kicks.
Please.
Keeps his eye on the ball. Good technique. You watch both of his hands. Turns his left shoulder in. Doesn't just try to get one hand up. He actually goes to compete and take the ball with two. That's what I think the law should say. You can't jump with one arm on the inside because it's not achieving what it was designed to.
Kelly thumps it up. Test the tackling of Slade, which held up, but Cam Henderson doing some more tackle testing. Liebenberg, we had no time at all to get that away and did very nicely to find Hassel Collins. A bit of evasive work from the left wing. Wells. Van Portfleet. Solomona Kata enjoyed the debonair for a season. Hayes. Pollard, again the speed, and it was that Roots who was up very, very quickly.
Never on the ball.
Hayes wants it. Roots again down low.
Chiefs doing a really good job of keeping as many white shirts defensively on their feet as they can. Leicester finding it difficult to find any sort of numbers, particularly in that middle third, having to go to the kicking game a lot.
So another kick. Hammersley came down awkwardly.
Offside, isn't he?
There we go. Although it was for holding on.
I think Hammersley knocked this on in the first viewing. This will tell us.
I think that's off Hassel Collins' left hand, to be fair.
I think it is Hammersley's left hand.
We
can agree to disagree.
Backwards off the green player, which means he's in a good position.
To disagree.
Agreed, yep.
Yes, please.
The officials agreed with me, which was the main thing.
What he is doing, he's scoring a lot of tries this season, half a dozen in the Premiership so far this season for Ollie Hassel Collins. You'll remember one early on here against Bristol before Christmas, before the avalanche. He scored another later on. He's actually one away from his 50th in the Premiership.
Horrible to say it, but doesn't look like an overly serious injury, but Hassel Collins would love an attack against Hammersley now while he's feeling this injury. Just looks like a muscular injury, maybe around the hip area. And while he's concentrating on that, the winger would love a one-on-one shot. Hammersley will be hoping just to hide for a couple of minutes, just to allow him Spotty to recover.
Cam Henderson looks eager, he calls it, and it is to himself.
In 5.
Flings it back a little bit awkwardly to Van Portfleet. Kata, oh, that's nicely done. And Leicester working with the winger, with Hassel Collins on that right-hand side. The scrum half, Van Portfleet, going under the radar. Kata again for Leicester. By some distance, Leicester's best position in the first 10 minutes or so. Nicky Smith waits. Oh, it was, well, was it meant for Henderson? It was swept up in the end. Van Poortvliet again. Oh,
Leave it.
elbows length short. Hayes is going in.
Numbers right for Leicester, huge numbers.
Still short.
Montosha. Chiefs conceding the penalty. Kata going this way and that. Leicester go right. Stewart not quite. Bassett eager. 3 metres to the right-hand side. Cracknell's there as well. Exeter doing good job laying down the sandbags.
Back to the offside.
Well, the build-up play is brilliant for Leicester, but they butcher a try-scoring opportunity.
Offside. You shoot.
That really is down to Van Poortvliet. Maybe because he got caught on the line underneath a pile of bodies,
offside.
but Josh Bassett was on his own, on his wing, and Leicester kept picking and going.
Scrum.
Interestingly, Leicester, who've been good at the tap-and-go show this season, opting for the scrum.
I don't get it, Nick. I really don't get it. OK, if you're going to pick and go, here's what you said. Montoya goes himself, yeah. He's got loads of space, but after that extra go, the extra defender Slade stands up, and then another one. Then they become 4-on-4 defensively. And Poortvliet nearly got there, but unless you believe that Cracknell is going to score 7 times out of 10 from the base, and you're going to give him a solid base, what is the point? Is it machoism? Is it, let's tell Exeter that we're on top? Because very rarely nowadays will a side let you drive them over from a scrum. They'll go down.
Ties in defenders, ties in forwards.
It does, but only if you get a good platform.
Anyway, off we go.
Get the penalty advantage and then attack was probably what they were thinking, but they're being told to use it.
Cracknell controlling it first with his knee. Then he goes, drives those knees to the line. Brute strength, determination. That's the power that Ollie Cracknell brings.
Well, he obviously do believe he can score 7 out of 10, or on that occasion 1 out of 1. And then it is a good call. If you believe you're going to get a good scrum, you're going to get a light right shoulder up and a good carry from Cracknell. But if you know it's coming defensively, look, Slade's looking out the backfield. He's thinking, who am I going to take? He almost just gets there too late, a metre or so. Goes low, but Cracknell's got too much power for him.
It's a great finish. Vermeulen has to stay down longer because of the threat of the drive from Leicester. And what's really good is he doesn't get any support there. He's carried his tackler and 3 others over, using the post maybe as a slight shield. But he is another of the players for Leicester that has been a revelation. They obviously have missed Visa and the amount of carrying that he does, but Ollie Cracknell really stepping up to the plate. Most potent contact meters. Second on that chart behind Tom Willis. Crucial to how Leicester want to play. They want to attack through teams. They want to take teams on physically. And if you're going to do that, you have to win those collisions when you carry the ball into contact.
Tommy Raffel.
Just hold in front, lads, hold.
That's one for Bassett to pump hard and chase hard for.
And forward off Bassett, I think that.
Yeah. On we go with Wyatt.
Slade stayed down.
Frost at scrum half. Jenkins. Only his 3rd Premiership game of the season, David Jenkins. How much the Chiefs missed him to this point.
I think Slade may have taken him on in the spuds, Nick.
Roast or mashed?
Mashed at the minute.
Well, he said his win last week was better than sex. Don't think he's going to agree this week.
Let's concentrate on the rugby for the time being, as Ollie Hassel-Collins fires it long, and Hodge does likewise. Stewart. Oh, and up we go again. Wyatt. Oh, loose. Went backwards.
Great clear up work from Roots.
Hodge, bouncing ball. Oh. Van Poortvliet behind 2 up.
Keep going.
But swept up by Slade, whose potatoes seem perfectly cooked, which is good news for him and all of us.
Hard-boiled, I think, currently. That's a great catch.
Chase penalty.
Number 8, you're within 10 metres. You're about 4 metres away. And you're the first clearer. He's got to work his way out the 10.
Yeah, I saw it, but I was just getting spun, so I didn't
Offside within 10, number 8.
I know we're moving on from the nature of the injury, but I think actually this law change about allowing free contest has to be levelled up, because you get guys, this is a prime example, one arm through, no intention at all of trying to catch the ball, just tap it back. But that means as a body shape, you can go in with a much higher knee. Free abandonment, you're in a lot more physical shape as the chaser than you are as the catcher. So it's doing a real disservice to the defensive side.
It's the same in line-outs. If you go for a line-out, you put 2 hands up. If it's too high, you go to 1 hand, because you'll get an extra 6 inches of height by leading with 1 hand rather than 2. The problem is, how do you do it within the confines of the rest of the laws of the game?
Throw one by Roots.
Don't change.
Frost has it back.
Really nice setup. They've got some power through the middle there. Leicester need to get some bodies behind the ball.
That's 1, Exeter.
Joe Hayes thinks he's got through onto the ball. Needs to be careful he doesn't change his bind.
Use it. Use it.
It's there somewhere. Townsend has it. Nicky Smith's in the way, making a nuisance of himself. Townsend got it away to Molina. Chinks 5 metres short. Seo. Townsend, it's a threshing machine just above the ball at the moment. Possession not easy to find. Frost with Vermeulen connecting behind him. Molina away loosely, gathered by Hammersley, who made the most of what little space he had. Slade away to the right, but Vermeulen opting just to straighten things up, to recycle. Townsend and Frost.
No, leave!
Leicester's defence now rattling for the right keys. Seo. Molina, Franco Molina. And then Townsend goes on a little journey of his own. It was not a successful journey. Very, very good Leicester defence.
Yeah, he spills the ball at the end, but
knock on the ground.
I like it from Townsend. Everyone's expecting Chiefs just to go through that one-off runner. Don't think Henry Slade likes it quite as much. But those pick and goes, those one-off runners, and then suddenly something a bit different, trying to make Cracknell lull him into a false sense of security and let him go and try and tackle, but that stand and deliver, Cracknell reads it really well.
I think he knows actually that he chose the wrong time to go. As he's coming around the corner and he sees the ruck forming, what he needs to look at is the guard and how close that guard is. If the guard's an extra metre outside, you can throw that dummy and go. If he's really tight, you're just running into a brick wall. He knows that.
By the way, we're kicking off a new year of Gallagher Premiership Rugby with a Saturday afternoon double bill today, swiftly following us here on TNT1. Saracens and Bristol from 5:15, both on the wrong end of unexpected hidings last weekend. Local derby in the PWR tomorrow lunchtime, Bristol and Gloucester Hartbury. And then champions Northampton and leaders Bath, 6 months on from the Twickenham final. They shared go at it again at the Gardens. The rugby review follows tomorrow tea time. And next Saturday night, let's all head to the MCG. The Women's Ashes starting. 4-day, day-night test. Australia and England. Here with us on TNT Sports.
Crouch! Bind!
Midway through this first half, the only try of the match so far, a Leicester one scored by Ollie Cracknell after Henry Slade had given Exeter an early lead, but Exeter have been good value and they're pressurising here. Ooh, and
loose head hinge.
Townsend unfortunate Penalty goes against Scott Seo, but Townsend did his job.
Yeah, Liebenberg there is trying to protect Nicky Smith on this side. And when he does hinge in, he shifts up, and that allows Stu Townsend access to the ball. Oh, it just disappearing there, but just as Liebenberg went up, the ball bobbled out. Unfortunately for Leicester, Seo got done. There's Liebenberg going. That allows Townsend to come around the 6, get his hand in and disrupt. Leicester just need to be careful on that delivery.
I'll talk to him as well. We'll both stay
Scott Seo shaking his head as he jogged away from that, still shaking his head.
In 5.
Liebenberg's catch.
More. Access is fine. He's through the middle.
Precknell comes in. He's one of the chasers, but the chief chaser is Hassel Collins, and Hammersley comes down with it. A little bit more time this time.
9, use it. Step, step, step.
Jenkins. Henry Slade just glancing away to his left-hand side to see what the options are.
Timing.
This looks more like a kick, though. Cam Henderson not far away. Stewart. Rocked back by Jacques Vermeulen, who is eager today, the South African. Nicky Smith.
He retreated.
Pollard. Bassett got both hands up to that one, and Leicester have it via Hanro Liebenberg. Joe Hayes.
No, not the ball, no. Not over the top.
Pollard to Kata. And Kata finding some space. Strength.
He's offside, isn't he, surely?
By the time he caught the ball.
Well, there's the answer.
The previous ruck.
Really? Whistle out. And then Wyatt's kick. Straight down the middle. Straight to Pollard. That one too far to compete, but Bassett tried to make Slade's life as tough as he could, and Ben Hammersley would like that one back.
Just watching Pollard here, Exeter have got so used to Leicester kicking in the middle third of the field that he's taking the ball right to the line to try and pull that defensive line forward and create space in behind. Bassett gets his hands up.
Gets 2 hands up on that occasion, though, doesn't he?
He actually ran behind the previous ruck, but if I'm wrong, I apologise.
Talking about
but that's what I thought live.
He's a mile offside. He's a good 5 metres offside when he takes the ball. You got away with him, though, don't you?
Time's off a second. Let's just check. He looks like he's going to be all right. I think he'd retreated behind the previous ruck.
Scored the 48th minute try on the opening weekend that provided the Chiefs with their first points of the season. That match against Leicester in September. The match that you will remember was very nearly 0-0 at half-time. Right up to the point that Jamie Shilcock
Once he's got beyond that back
kicked a drop goal
breakdown, I think he's fair game.
on the stroke of it. Just that Leicester went on to snatch with Tommy Raffel's late try.
At the beginning of the game, when Exeter were on top, we were talking about how they wanted to be a possession team, and for the first 10 minutes they totally dominated. Leicester have come back now and taken the lead on that front. Exeter need to find a way to get that ball back and hold on to it for a bit.
In 5.
Beyond Pollard to Kelly, Kata. Kelly and Kata combining. Pollard, studied kick. What about the angles? They weren't bad, and Hammersley is in a large jar of New Year pickle there that he's done well to at least loosen the lid on.
Step, step, step.
Seo head down.
9, use it. Harry, step 1.
Townsend's responsibility, well, it's actually one to compete, which is
it's gone 10 at least.
Interesting. And Leicester, well, thought they'd got it back. It was knocked on by Exeter. Did he mean to do that, Oz, do you think, or was that just a miss kick?
I think he skied it. He was under pressure on the previous ruck, and maybe it was in his mind. So, had to go high, but there was no charge down coming.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's just back of the foot, loses his body weight backwards over his left hip.
Stay off the floor. Let's go.
Just another law amendment that's changing, Nick, after the next round of the Premiership is the scrum half can no longer now go past the halfway point of the scrum on the defensive side, which I think does the actual art of being a 9 a real disservice. If it's easy now to just put the ball in and get the ball away from the base, I know it starts the game again, but now it might breed a different type of 9, just an athlete, someone who hasn't got those inherent skills at the base. They can just go there now. Townsend can't go where he is now, he has to back off. I think it's a terrible law change.
Van Portfleet with the advantage. We'll come back to that. Away by Smith. And Wells pops it up. Van Portfleet, Cracknell. Score of Leicester's first try. Leicester into Exeter's 22 for the second time, ball in hand. Bassett trying to stretch things as much on that far right-hand side, the right wing. First sprinted out to the touchline at that last breakdown. Leicester at the moment happy just to keep stirring away through the middle. Maybe not now. Pollard. Interesting kick. It's a 3-on-2 with Exeter the favourites for it, but playing the advantage.
Had the advantage, so went a bit of a Hail Mary up into the air, and Freddie Stewart and Ollie Hassel-Collins couldn't decide who was going to compete and who was going to try and clear up the scraps.
I think the way the drive's been going as well, it's a good idea to kick to the corner here.
Let's bookmark that scrum half debate and the new law change that is coming in this year, because there are so many implications. It'll be interesting to look at it when we get our next live scrum. We will come back to that. But you wonder where the little niggly annoying scrum halves are going to go. If that's, and I'm not looking at you, Os, particularly, but you wonder where that's going if that's taken out of the armoury.
Well, if you know it's easy to get the ball away, you can put somebody there who's much bigger with a worse pass.
Anyway, Montosha.
No, good access.
Leicester playing a very patient, weighty, muscular game at the moment. They've added more muscle with Kata. Liebenberg trying to straighten his back. Van Portfleet had a little go, held on to by Tua. But still Leicester. Townsend around the neck, it seemed.
Stay back, Joe, step.
And Chiefs happy to hoof it away. Freddie Stewart for Leicester. On the bounce.
That's okay.
For Tommy Wyatt to deal with. That's a handy kick. Pollard goes again for the Tigers. Townsend caught in several minds. Another kick.
All on.
It's been a game of kicking. Oh, and it's been regathered nicely. And Frost, but then it went forwards.
It's Wyatt who makes the kick, and he chases his own kick, and everyone else stands still. Joe Hayes' head goes down. JVP's not quite sure where it's going to land. Wyatt goes, it might not have been the best kick, but it's only as good as its chase. Unfortunately, he can't get his hands free. Otherwise, I think Dan Frost would have been causing carnage in midfield.
Leicester's average over the course of the game so far this season is 21. They've already kicked it 14 times. Is that a nature of the game that Chiefs are forcing them to play?
I think it's more of a game plan thing when you're playing against the Chiefs, because you know that the Chiefs' DNA is they like to muscle up in the midfield, and as we spoke about with the possession, they don't mind having a bit of a fight in midfield. They don't mind that middle third of the field going into contact. They don't mind defending it. So Leicester are saying, well, let's disrupt that big white wall in front of us and kick and try and get the ball back, and then we're playing against a disrupted defensive line rather than a brick wall.
We're going to have a chat with Leicester's backs and attacks coach Peter Hewitt in a moment. That will be my first question. So Pete can prepare his answer about how much Leicester are kicking, but I'm sure that he will want to watch where this scrum takes us first. But we're going to have a word with Peter in a minute or two.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
It's been a good contest at the scrum so far. Leicester again fighting back, but that ball will have to be used by Van Portfleet. Townsend eager to get to him. Pollard, Bassett, Stewart. He's been caught quickly by Hammersley. Exeter chasing and nailing run as well so far. Cracknell.
Use it, Leicester. Let go, fellas, let go. Both of you up.
Come down just inside Leicester's half, and Wyatt went up. Taken by Tua. Cries of offside from the terrace in front of us.
It was off weight.
And there's the decision from Peter Allen, our TMO. So let's have a chat with...
Was it knocked on and immediately picked up, or knocked on into another player?
We'll just check on this decision.
Just double checking. Pete, could you tell me?
Yeah, just check it.
So knock on, immediately played.
Yeah, it's a penalty as a result. Let's have a quick word with Peter. Peter, the kicking first. Are you kicking more today by design?
Yeah, I think particularly early, mate. We really want to lay, that platform early. We've been reasonably good in the air, particularly down this side with Ollie Haster-Collins. So I just want to, particularly keep ball in front of our forwards early, and then hopefully, as always, try and play the long game, mate, and open it up back end.
Is it working?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've managed this part of the field pretty well. I think we'd be more accurate in the score zone. We've had 2 or 3 opportunities down there and come away with nothing. So hopefully we can come away with something here.
We're going to stay with you here for this lineup, Peter, because I know you think you might have the edge just physically at the moment, do you? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think obviously Scrum's going really well. We've had a couple of reasonably good setups at maul time, and we think if we can get into this area of the zone and just be a bit more powerful and work on speed and reaction rather than any sort of shape, we feel we can hopefully convert some of these opportunities, mate.
So where are these contacts taking us? Take us in here. What kind of shape are you looking for from this?
Well, again, we don't really want to be worried too much about shape, so it's more speed and reaction here. So, everyone's so used to defending different shapes, and everyone uses the same sort of shape. So it's more around speed, playing on top, and it's a bit like that, and then we just move the ball, hopefully.
Brilliant, thank you. And that's how close they get. And all that work, designed by the coaches, designed by blokes like Peter Hewitt, leading to tries for players like Cam Henderson. Fascinating to hear Peter talking about that in the build-up to it.
It was almost perfect. He was talking over the pictures, wasn't he, in terms of Leicester's play. Not looking for any shape in particular, but just running direct. The initial ball comes out. Pollard picks a line, which is nice. He thinks about the offload, doesn't quite work. JVP gets the ball off the floor, and then it's just guys moving with momentum onto the ball. It's very hard to defend once you keep the ball alive at that sort of speed. This original one, he goes through, goes to ground, doesn't wait for the ruck to form, a little lift, and then here's the short ball. Look at how difficult it is for the Chiefs to get back in a defensive structure. You can't stop him in that scenario.
Yeah, Christoph tries good.
Yeah, looks good. He just bounces and falls over the line.
Agreed, yeah.
Just too big a gap between Frost and Roots, and it invites Pollard, and Pollard manages to get all the way through before Roots can shut the door. There's the gap. Pollard goes through, and once they're in behind, holds on, is patient, ball comes off the floor, and Cam Henderson, probably one of the best link playing second rows. You often see him after that initial break as the next man there, and he's got a bit of power, but he's also got a long reach as well to get a ball over the line.
Advantage lock on.
Very nearly taken by Ethan Roots, but not quite. Apologies for the language. Actually, Cam Henderson's first try for very nearly 2 years, February 2023, here against Saracens. His last one, then that big long injury in the middle of all that, the year-long knee injury. Injury at the end of 2023. came back last month.
How long was the gap, Ben, between your 2 tries for the Tigers?
Slightly more than that.
Tell you what,
Keep this off the floor, fellas, so higher, please.
yeah, for those who didn't hear Ben's answer, it was slightly longer than that. The business of Peter Hewitt talking about how actually he's not really bothering about shapes in that situation. It's just about pure speed and execution.
A lot of that comes from training like that, though, as well. See a lot of the French sides just playing small-sided games, just enticing defenders at the line, and understanding as well. There's a lot to be said for consistency of selection if you want to play that way. Very difficult to do that if you're constantly changing different parts of your team.
6 minutes to half-time. Oh, Chiefs will like that scrum.
I've called use it twice in this game. First time you took ages, and that time you took far too long. The scrum is stationary.
Well, Leicester clearly felt there was still some profit to be taken from that scrum, but the referee disagreed.
Trying to force a penalty.
Please, thank you.
It's backfired.
Yes.
Part of the thing, if you live on the edge of that, you're going to come unstuck every now and again. But now it's about learning, saying, oh, right, the referee's made his point. He's not happy with how we're scrummaging. We're probably going to have to be a little bit better at getting the ball out as soon as he asks for it.
To a degree, the Cracknell try, they were being under pressure. They were being pressurised to use the ball sooner than they did. Held on to it an extra second or two, and Cracknell in the end went over.
I think they were more on top in that scrum, although they weren't moving. They were under a bit of pressure there.
That's a hefty shove, but well repelled by the Chiefs, and Townsend switches to Hodge, and Hodge just drops his shoulders and finds Wyatt, and Wyatt runs into Josh Bassett.
It's a nice play from the Chiefs, but very good defence as well, because sometimes you're encouraged on the far side to keep coming forward. Here's a switch. They go back the other way, which means you're really difficult to get your inside defence there, but they just back off. There's only 2 defenders out wide, and rather than going forward and trying to guess where the pass is going, back off, use the touchline. It's a miles better defender than anyone on the field.
Well, Tommy Wyatt looking forward to an injury-free 2025. 10 months when his season was obliterated by an ACL injury. Start of this last year, rather, now against Glasgow. Cracknell for Leicester.
Backed off.
Into the final 5.
2, no, don't pull people down, thank you.
Ollie Cracknell and Cameron Henderson with Leicester's tries so far. Henry Slade early points for the Chiefs.
It's really important for the Chiefs that they
really don't want to
dominate the field position a little bit here. They cannot give Leicester another point-scoring opportunity before the half-time break. Try and nibble away at that scoreboard themselves.
Taken by Tommy Raphael. Dan Frost with the long throw that can so often be spectacular. Read by Leicester, read by Raphael. Liebenberg and Bassett coming round on that right side, but Chiefs ball.
Nine, use it. No.
Montosh asking the question. Ridley giving the answer. Stewart.
So good from Stewart. Just how early he gets up and hangs and dominates the space, even off the floor.
What was more impressive about that catch was he had to change his body shape in the air. The ball didn't actually come into the old red basket, just landed on his right shoulder. But look how he changes his shape. Last minute, that's a really good catch, isn't it?
Scored 5 tries in his last 6 Premiership games, Freddie Stewart, including last weekend at Twickenham. So it's not just about the defence.
Huge moment in the game here. Chiefs have to withstand this. Leicester haven't been quite as accurate in the red zone as Peter Hewitt would have hoped. You heard him say that.
Into the eyes of concerned Exeter defenders. Line out taken by Leicester. Kelly to Kata. Kata's lost a mouth guard in the middle of all that. He'll pick it up again soon enough. Cracknell with the latest burst, and then Pollard away quickly to Bassett, and he's trolleyed back over the 22. And then it's won back really nicely by Roots.
Onside, leave it.
Roots has done his work to very good effect in this first half. The left boot of Josh Hodge. Pollard for Leicester.
Leicester playing without Hanro Liebenberg, who went down at that initial line out.
Liebenberg still having treatment as Frost and Exeter look to profit in the final minute of the first half.
Ball is there.
I think it might be an ankle injury. He looks in some pain. Leicester losing Liebenberg at this stage of the season would be an enormous blow. Slade, Wyatt. Thistle out.
Use it.
Slade for Muirland. Slade.
Backwards.
So still Exeter's to toy with as we count down the seconds at the end of this first half. Hanro Liebenberg still down on the floor, and Leicester will at least get to reorganise themselves, maybe have a shot at goal. But there's the big story. He started every single Premiership game so far this season, every single Champions Cup game. Is that important?
Jumper's nightmare. Lands on
landing
the
in the line out, yeah.
Happened to me
That's half time.
once. That it's as you land on the foot of someone else and you just roll off it.
Well, so do you want me to go back?
Leicester have already taken the decision. They're going to go for the 3 points that are on offer.
Okay.
Leicester have actually got Matt Rogerson back for the first time in the Premiership since October today. He's a replacement. Had a run in the Premiership Cup in November.
They don't need to make the decision now, Leicester, do they? They've got the half-time break to do it and assess him properly inside, but he's not moving freely. Hanro Liebenberg, I think that might very well be the end of his game. In fact, he's having to be helped off.
Well, if this was the green of South Africa, you'd bet your mortgage on Pollard getting this one over, but it's the green of Leicester. And let's see, he has nailed his last 10. He's in that kind of mood off the kicking tee. And almost inevitably, bang goes that record. Well done, me. Couple of Leicester tries in that first half. Ollie Cracknell and Cameron Henderson, but that might be the headline news, because if they lose Liebenberg, that is a big, big blow. Chiefs with work to do in the second 40. Half-time at Mattioli Woods, Welford Road. Leicester 14, Exeter 3. Chiefs unchanged.
Time on, please.
Henry Slade, their fly half again. That's
Backwards from both
nicely done.
teams.
Sam Wimbush got there.
Really good kick from Slade, just in front of Cam Henderson's lifting pod. Meant that he has to push the whole pod forwards, and they're back pedalling, and Wimbush comes in and takes the ball.
Jack Van Portfleet. Hodge angles his way in field, but he's beaten to it initially by Hassel Collins, but it wasn't gathered cleanly. Still, however, Leicester's and Freddie Stewart just a bit too far. Zach Wimbush, by the way, it's hard to miss him. 6'5", 17 stones. But I think that's the first time I've mentioned his name in the first half, which may mean me missing a lot, or Chiefs just not getting him involved as much as they might want to.
They just haven't had the ball, particularly the last 30 minutes of the first half. They just didn't have it enough.
Here's the other centre, Tamati Tua, who we have mentioned a few times. Mentioned Tommy Wyatt's name plenty of times. Loose ball, still Exeter's. for Björlund, softly off to Roots. There was another achieved to stand tall in that first half. Wimbush again. And Slade, and nicely away by Hammersley. Tua taking a bit of a buffeting on the way through. But an encouraging Exeter start. The ball was out and Rogerson got down quickest. Not significantly enough, however, to dislodge possession. So Slade off the left boot.
Kick.
That is a wonderful kick on the bounce and taken by Tommy Wyatt. And Wyatt scores. And Devon roars around Mattioli Woods, Welford Road. It's the first time, really, they put something significant together.
It's great exploitation of the space. Leicester really going hard, trying to turn them over on the other side. That meant that they got narrow. Too many bodies in and around the breakdown, very tight, no one out wide. Does he stay on just about? I think they're going to be happy. It's going to have to be obvious for it to be struck off. Slade's vision's great. The kick is absolutely perfect.
I mean, the big question for Leicester, Ben, is where's the pendulum? Because look how far back Slade is. Slade's a mile back, and he's got, what, 5 seconds? I think he's onside, actually.
He's onside, yeah.
He's onside, so that's good. The kick's easy, because he's got so much space. But that's Hassel-Collins covering across, isn't it? That means that the pendulum has been really shut because they counter-rucked on this short side and didn't get any ball back.
Tommy Wyatt was one of chief standouts in the first 40, perhaps the standout with his carries, meters that he made, offloads, and now he has the most important statistic of all. He's got a try. Not converted, however, but much better from Exeter.
Freddie Stewart just got a little bit embroiled in trying to turn them over. There he goes in at the side. They half win it. He thinks, I'll have another go. If he does that, someone else has to spot it and drop back and take his position. They don't.
You can see the guy on the short side's Bassett as well. So you've lost two of the guys that would be in the backfield as that pendulum, leaving Hassel-Collins to cover everything.
Exeter have got problems with Ben Hammersley, who's limping around as well. He was taking a lot of treatment while the conversion was being taken. He's back involved here, not quite sure how fit he is as Kata rattles his way through. Van Portfleet, Cracknell takes on Frost, who stands his ground well, and then Jenkins comes in.
To hold him up. They're in on the ball. This will be a turnover now. Scrum at the least.
Jenkins' second latch was really important as well to finish the job started.
It's brilliant from Frost. Initially I thought, oh, has he got himself too upright? Because he can't then make a dominant shot if he's upright because the fear of getting a head-on-head. But watch him now as he swings his body round, Frost, and gets it on the other side, gets his arm around the waist, stops Cracknell from going down to the ground, and then in comes Daffeth Jenkins to finish off the job.
I think if you know that you're going to get choke tackled, you may as well get in there and hit someone. Rogerson comes in right towards the end, and it just gives Street a little nudge in the back. He's down now. Because you're really exposed when you're in that upright position. But you are entitled to hit them all and try and drive it forwards.
He wraps his arm perfectly. There's nothing illegal in that. You are exposed.
It was Hammersley's breakneck, actually, that got them into the backfield. Little offload as well.
And Ben Hammersley has not recovered from the twist, and Will Rigg has come on, and the whole front row as well. Scott Seo, Dan Frost, Marcus Street, replaced by Jack Innard, Will Goodrick-Clark and Josh Yosefa Scott.
I know teams plan towards this, and we saw England actually do it when they took off Marcus Smith in the first game and brought on George Ford. Hasn't Frost been their best player? Is he out of breath after 45 minutes? I mean, I'd like to know those.
Let's have a chat with Rob Baxter. Rob, why that en masse front row change at this time?
Will largely be around. Well, obviously now I'll probably look an idiot. We've got to kind of make sure we don't we start to win the set-piece battle, or at least try and win the scrum battle and hold it together. That front row have worked really well as a unit, these guys coming on now, and we just want to make sure we're as solid as we can be in this area across the rest of the game.
I guess the point that Austin's making is that Dan Frost's been one of your better players.
I think that kind of justifies what we're going to try and do in this part with this change.
Yeah.
I do understand. Dan gets around brilliantly. He's had a good impact in the last couple of games. He's done some good things today, but we can't just end up in a situation where we're afraid of making changes. We need to make positive impacts and positive changes, as well as worrying about what may or may not happen.
Rob, when's the decision for that to be made? If there hadn't been a scrum, particularly in your own half, would you have left it slightly longer? Were you waiting for the scrum to bring those guys on?
Yes, potentially, and then because obviously that starts to create the scenario that we're talking about. So if we'd have cleared there'd been a line in the opposition 22, it probably would have waited a little bit longer. Yes.
All right, we'll let you go. Thanks for your time, Rob.
All right, thank you very much.
Townsend and Tua, and we will we'll have another scrum. I know that certainly Rob Hunter, Exeter's forwards coach, and I assume Ross McMillan as well, their scrum coach, are two of those coaches who when they do change the front row, like to change them en masse, because for a number of reasons. A, all equally fresh, and B, perhaps more importantly, Benny, they've been working in those units in the week during training.
Yeah, exactly that. So you put those, you know that they're probably all going to finish the game together. They're probably going to get the last 5-10 minutes at least together, maybe 20 minutes. So to put them on gives you that and shift the momentum drastically in these next 3 or 4 scrums is the big ask. If they win a penalty here now, suddenly the whole narrative of the game changes from Leicester have been on top at the set piece. You see they're attacking hard. I'm not sure that they are going to get it, are they? Maybe goes in at a slight angle first. Cracknell gets it away.
That's the scrum under a little bit of pressure, however. Van Portfleet, Kata continues to seek gaps against old friends. Pollard, he was chased down by Tua. That went forwards. Sadly for Tua and the Chiefs.
I understand all the logic of it, Nick, and it makes perfect sense, provided that you win penalties at the scrum and you get dominance there, and that leads to a field position and ultimately a win. I think it's more about the perspective of Frost. Right, he's been their best player. He played 45 minutes. If I ever got taken off in a game and I was playing well and I still had fuel in the tank, I absolutely hated it. More than playing badly in some ways.
I totally understand Oz's point. From Rob Baxter's point of view, I don't think they're going to win this game without field position. They haven't looked like a team that are going to go the length of the field and score tries. So how do they get themselves back? They have to not give Leicester opportunities to keep kicking down into the 22, particularly as the fatigue comes in. It's a really difficult balance, because Oz is absolutely right. He has, over the last couple of weeks, been one of their best attacking players, one of the best defensive players. It's just that set-piece issue.
I think in the games that they've won and where they've looked good, and the try that they've scored today, they've done something different. The set-piece isn't going to win games for Exeter currently. Doing something different, Slade creating something, one of their backfield, Afeya Wabosa, I know he's not playing today, doing something that's not expected by the opposition is where Exeter have been good.
Well, let's see. Inard, Goodrick Clark, Josefa Scott. Now that Chiefs front row. And Van Portfleet to Pollard with Kata running off him, but Kelly coming the other way.
You don't see that move very often nowadays. Rangi back to the inside. Back to all the forwards.
Taken in by Matt Rogerson, who came on for Hanro Liebenberg at half-time. Hanro Liebenberg, by the way, the same injury as Ben Hammersley. Sore right ankle. Townsend quickly onto that. Oh, and
backwards.
Went backwards. It seemed to go forwards, but anyway, on we go.
Keep coming. Now on.
Very nearly forwards, but thankfully for Henry Slade.
That's a great kick.
Stuck.
And then the limping there as well, isn't he?
Leicester with Ben Youngs on the bench.
Line, Jaws, line.
There he is. Part of the Leicester team that played against Exeter in that Premiership game in 2010 that we were talking about right at the top if you were with us. Exeter's first ever away game. Phil Dolman, Gareth Steenson, all the names, and they were 11 points up with 15 minutes to go, and we all thought, what's going on here? This is a team built for the Premiership, and so it's proved all those years later. Wimbush chasing hard and comes in with the hit as well.
Good contest. No. Backwards by Green.
Leicester continuing the kicking policy. How is that now for them? 24 when their match average is 21. Up to this point of the season, there's still another half an hour to go.
Green, use timing.
Hodge on halfway. Tackle by Raffel. Townsend digging. Fissel out. Slade. And then again off the left boot of Wyatt.
Well, they're winning that territorial battle, Exeter, at the moment, this kicking duel, aren't they? Keeping Leicester pinned. Now they need to, having forced the turnover in possession, they need to, a dominant carry, you'd feel, into midfield. Not had a lot of attacking output in their game. They could really do with something now.
Relatively new hooker, Jack Innard throws in.
Split the seam.
A freebie. They can get this ball back.
Exeter with the penalty. Molina trying to do that. Oh, and then running on with the support of Fisselau.
Still advantage.
Townsend. Roots. Tua. A wrestle that went on for a while longer between Tua and Kelly.
Jumping across and splitting a seam.
He's talking about splitting the seam there. He's gone through. As he's jumped and landed, he's gone through and across between lifter and jumper. Just stopped that bind and he stays in there. That's why the penalties come. Once they land, that's what teams are trying to do. Go through the middle, split the gaps between the binds. But you can't get an unfair advantage by going up in the air and falling through it. Well, a big line out now. New man Innard to deliver the darts. Trying to walk in and give themselves a little bit of tempo. Just analyse Leicester's defence, see if they can work out where they might gamble putting someone up.
Yes, unlike Luke Littler, Jack Innard has a moving dartboard and that makes life that much tougher. But Exeter doing what they can to rescue the situation, and it was carried back over the try line, so Exeter with the 5-metre scrum.
That's huge from Vermeulen. It was a disaster. The throw didn't go where they wanted it to. Gets picked off. Cam Henderson comes from behind and the hand through on David Jenkins. But then this, when it was already down, safely for Leicester, but they kept the leg drive going, pushed him over the line. There's the reach through and the steal. Henderson's done his job, but as Nicky Smith stands back up, the momentum takes them over, and now that new front row, this is probably the last shot they'll get at an advantage in terms of freshness. Your power wanes the more scrums you hit as a front row. This will be the last big moment.
Well, we've just seen Leicester have moved Catter into the first defender. Pollard's out in the 13 channel. You got Stewart there as well. So you've got two very good defenders, but Fisselau off the base has been very strong this season. The carries that he had, he's very dynamic.
Don't guess, it will be slow, wait for the call, wait for the call. Let's go nice and quick.
Just see Tony Raffel talking to him there, saying, I'll make sure I get off to the inside. Easier said than done, though, Ben, isn't it, if you're under pressure?
Yeah, and Yusefa Scott is the man on that right-hand side with the ponytail. He'll be just trying to edge his side up, take Rafael away, isolate Kata a little bit. That means Kelly has to worry about holding the outside shoulder of Kata and not drifting off for what might go on out of the back of any move.
It's gone down.
It's down far side. No worries. Let's come across. Come across. Of course.
All set for our 11th scrum of the match.
If you want to do that, then it's going to have to stay off the floor first. Height. There's your mark. Let's go.
A lot of scrummaging, a lot of kicking.
I'll be
3 tries so far. Cracknell and Henderson for Leicester in the first half. Tommy Wyatt for Chiefs to get them back into this contest. And now look where they are. And look what a converted try would do.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Stay on the ball.
And Portfleet there to legally make a nuisance of himself if he can. Oh, and he was offside. Tackling the player who was not holding the ball, it would seem. Townsend drawing the penalty. Meantime, Rigg and away, and
He's dropped it.
Over the line. Well, what does the face tell you? What does Tommy Wyatt's face tell you?
The pass from Rigg is absolutely brilliant. Gets his hands free. Does Cracknell stop him? Does he stop him? Does he get it down? No, he's lost it. Brilliant tackle from Cracknell.
Gets his legs underneath, doesn't he? Forces him to go the other side.
And just pulls that left elbow with his left hand.
Offside, no.
They've gone back to the... I wasn't sure that was offside, you know. I thought the ball had popped out the scrum.
Scrum called again.
I think you could argue, actually, that Exeter deserved the penalty because the scrum was going forward at a rate of knots, but here we go. Is that out? That's out. He can do what he wants. The ball's long gone.
Does he move there when it's still in? I think he makes a movement just too early, doesn't he?
Time off a second. You're going to have to deal with that next scrum. Let's go.
Well, they're the things that will become a thing of the past, Austin, when the law book is rewritten.
But then how easy is it for the attacking side in that scenario where they get a left-hand wheel on the scrum? You just pick and go and score. It's virtually impossible to stop them. If I'm in 9 and there's 5 metres out, my opposite number isn't in my face, he's 2 metres back. There's no way in the world he's going to stop me from scoring a try. I think as a law change, I know they go through various trials to get to these points. I don't think there's more benefit than negativity from bringing it in.
Right, this is big. Approaching the final quarter of this contest. Exeter, who were ahead early on, but not for long, with a chance here to move back ahead. And Slade, and he's opened it up, and that's brilliantly done. This time, Tommy Wyatt. This time, no mistake. This time, the legal splashdown.
I don't think Henry Slade can believe his luck here, because he just sees it and he thinks there's no way Kata's going to be able to react. If I can get into the space before the ball comes out the scrum, the back row can't get off quickly enough, we're going to have a walk-in. Just watch here. No one moves. It's the easiest 2-on-1 you will ever see. Nothing Bassett can do there. He has to stay.
You've got to give the Chiefs a huge amount of credit for pulling that move 5 metres out. Loads of sides will talk about it. They'll say, well, what if we do this? There's only one defender. What if we do that? But to actually execute it with that level of accuracy is brilliant. The only way you stop that, Nick, is at the base. Van Portfleet gets his foot out, stops the pass from Townsend.
To regain the lead, Josh Hodge off his left boot, slides it beautifully between the posts. and the Chiefs lead by a point.
And you think on the far side they're running it as a decoy because Fisselau's still going to pick up, but they get the left shoulder that they want. Now that means the back row's gone. If JVP doesn't stop it at the base, it's the easiest 2-on-1, as Ben said, but you've still got to execute it. You've got to back yourself to call it and then have the skill set to see it through.
No, it's not
Game
out.
on.
It's not out. It's under a foot.
A couple of Chiefs changes to bring them up to speed with. Rossi Tuima is on for Franco Molina, Richard Capstick for Jacques Vermeulen. Leicester have made changes as well. We'll update those. Jed Holloway for Harry Wells and Joseph Woodward for Solomon Akata. And there is Woodward, his chip into the arms of Hodge, whose kick has put the Chiefs back ahead again. What a spirited start to the second half it was for them, and how they followed that on Exeter. Will Rigg involved again in the Premiership 23.
Nine, use it.
As Holloway's attempted charge down, Stewart not gathered cleanly. It's all been a bit lacklustre from Leicester in this second half, and Exeter have taken full advantage.
Yeah, a little bit shell-shocked. Not so much that Freddie Stewart, he gets into the space, but it's just really good from Wyatt. He owns the drop zone off the ball, is in front of Freddie Stewart by the time the ball arrives, gets that collision there, which just forces the error, but everything else, the energy seems to have gone a bit from Leicester, and it was all a bit comfortable in the first half for them. It's been anything but in the second.
While Exeter riding the confidence that the first win of the season is bound to bring you last weekend against Gloucester. They were second best in the first half, but absolutely the best after half-time. And Tommy Wyatt's 2 tries has turned this around.
Long conversation and non-verbal communication between the officials there. They just weren't sure, so they haven't given the penalty. Both teams crabbing in towards Christoph Ridley.
Before the game, if you want rewards, you have to go forwards first. We're not giving cheap rewards across the pitch. There's your mark.
See, I think what you do here is a 9. The last 3 scrums from the Chiefs have had left shoulder up, which means the ball's exposed. So if you're JVP now, just as they're having an argument or an injury, just come over to the touch judge and just say, are you okay if I compete? Can you just tell me if I'm all right? And you just get in their head a little bit that they're in control of the scenario. Am I okay? I know I got pinged before. I won't go offside, but I want to compete here. And then they don't call it.
That's Craig Maxwell-Keys, whose right shoulder we're enjoying the view across at the moment.
Goodrick Clark. Hayes went to his knee there. Goodrick Clark probably went slightly early on the angle. So difficult to pick out which offence was earlier or more crucial. Referee's come to have a look on this side himself.
Well, all those changes that we talked about with Rob Baxter, as Chiefs swap 1, 2 and 3 for 16, 17 and 18, are paying off, and they've got another penalty.
Yeah, and Leicester have got no choice now. They have to change the pitch in front of the ref. They've got to put Cole on. Maybe it wasn't the plan. Maybe he's not ready to do 20 minutes. I'm sure he is. But you've just got to change the picture.
I think he's suggesting the old stand in front of the people making the decision. Give us a go.
Lads, it's inside the 22. It's inside. Fellas, back off Anita. 7. Anita. Lads.
Time for the walkie-talkie and a shake of the head.
Please back off Anita. Anita. Thank you. Come up.
Chiefs as we head into the final quarter of this contest, with a toe hold that might lead to a third try.
That's in 5.
Capstick laying it back for Inard, and that's nice and it was nice and flat, but Tamati Tua.
It's a knock on, isn't it?
It has to be a knock on.
It's gone forward, Christoph. It's gone forward.
Knock on.
It's just a little bit laboured the pass. It dies on him a little bit, doesn't it, from Townsend? You get caught in two minds then. You know the player's a little bit early, but you don't really want to fire it at him to get it into his hands. Harder to catch.
3 times. Are you fit to play on? Let's go then.
Well, Gildrick Clark just being asked to speed the game up a bit. The Chiefs want to slow it down, just taking a knee at every opportunity.
There's a Tamati Tua. Remember, he and Len Ikitau forming quite a partnership for the Brumbies a year or so ago. Scored his first Premiership try in the win against Gloucester last week. With over 15 minutes to go. Now Hazy was the call, and Leicester taking that scrum, and Woodward, 21-year-old, Premiership debut this season. Oh, it's been turned over. Everything turning to white at the moment. Devon White. Capstick flings it away. Slade even more so. Hodge and Wimbush uses his strength to hold on to the ball under some pressure. Inard. Yosefa Scott got down just in time. Slade, Capstick. Leicester are bringing Dan Cole on, and also Ben Youngs at the next breakdown. Here's Rusi Tuima. Slade, one for Rigg to chase. Oh, and
I'll tell you what,
Stewart came down very well.
I think he's out of control here as he comes in. It's whether he gets a genuine shot at taking the ball, because the pace he's running at.
It could even be red.
That's horizontal rather than upright. He does get a hand up. He does pull an arm.
Potential foul play. We want to see whether
it's his face that hits the floor. This could be red, Nick.
Let's have a listen.
So we're looking at height and whether there's a realistic competition.
Peter Allen, the TMO.
Coming up, we'll get it at full speed.
I think it's at least a yellow card, isn't it?
Just make sure White doesn't get his hand on the ball.
I think the only problem is his height. He
never gets his hand on the ball.
Clear hook, yeah.
Either he's not high enough to contest. That's a penalty and a yellow card, isn't it?
Agreed, yeah.
Thank you.
He jumps horizontally rather than with any height at all.
Your player doesn't win the ball.
It's just probably too far away from him, which meant that he had to run at full tilt.
And you don't win the ball. Off you go.
Some urgent alterations on the pitch, with Will Rigg gone for 10.
I think ultimately it's the right decision, but I think in some elements he's a little bit lucky, because Stewart lands on his face.
This feels like a big moment for Leicester and for Exeter. Straight off the back of the yellow card, the changes: Jack Van Poortvliet and Joe Hayes, replaced by Dan Cole and Ben Youngs, two players who were playing in this contest back in 2010. The only ones now who aren't retired, and they are still going to the well. All that test match experience. Oh, and two are given away, and Kelly goes through, stepping, tackled well by Capstick, who got back importantly. Here's Stewart, surely now for Leicester. This is Bassett. Brilliant Exeter defence to hold them up. The work defensively, the initial break from Kelly, but then Exeter shuffling back, initially through Capstick, still the threat. Exeter conceding the penalty.
They need to recycle some numbers, Leicester, in the back line if they want to go wide on the freebie.
Ollie Hassel-Collins furthest away on that left-hand side. Here's Rogerson. Kelly, who started it. Pollard, Stewart, Hassel-Collins. His 50th Premiership try. And one that swings this contest back towards Leicester.
Well, Tua gambles hard, goes for the big show-stopping hit, but gets a slight dogleg out of the line. Exploited by Leicester. Great break from Kelly. Unbelievable tackle from Capstick here, getting back. And then watch Henry Slade, bottom of your screen, how hard he works to stop Leicester originally and get back onside, make that tackle. But then there's an air of inevitability if Leicester can get any width on it, because Exeter get really narrow, a couple of hit-ups from the forwards, and then they hold defenders. Lovely transfer of the ball from Stewart, and it's a walk-in in the corner. Great defence initially from Chiefs, having been broken, but it was all too much momentum with the home team.
(21-15), 6-point lead, 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, really big swing, and as Ben said, the defence from Slade was unbelievable then, how he got back into position to stop the try to begin with, but then they just all hold their feet, ball out the back. We've seen them use this move time and time again off the freebie, and over they go. The Chiefs have been ahead in 3 of their games in the Prem in the second half this season, going on to lose 3 of them.
Bassett was crucial there. He's the only guy that didn't touch the ball, but his line just held 2 defenders and preserved that space on the outside that Ollie Hassel-Collins uses to score.
Leicester have made a change in the meantime. Jamie Shilcock has come on for Josh Bassett. Shilcock onto the wing. Freddie Stewart still at fullback. Josh Bassett didn't look happy with that decision. He was shaking his head.
You can only think that they brought Shilcock on to add maybe some kicking in territory if they're going to receive some more kicks.
2 fullbacks.
Crouch. Bind.
Still Townsend, scrum half for Exeter. Tommy Wyatt screaming for the ball on this left-hand side. He's on a hat-trick, and he's in glorious green space for the time being. It's gone now because Stewart's come across to cover him. Goodrick Clark hoping to spread it further wide to Fissalau. Oh, again, powers through the tackles. Montosha retreating. David Jenkins for the Chiefs. Capstick helped out by Roots. Townsend, this is Jack Innard. It's been a different Chiefs in this second half. Wimbush, mentioning him so much more, getting to use all that power of his, and again Wyatt with a hat-trick on his mind. Goodrick Clark sets things up centre field nicely.
It's trapped on a leg.
Taken on by Tuima. Jenkins. Solid response this from the Chiefs, and Slade's pass was almost intercepted by Hassel-Collins. Nothing more than the knock-on. He was within his rights to go for that.
Going back, just a knock-on.
Does well here, Hassel-Collins, to get both hands up to the ball. If he just goes with one hand, this is a penalty and maybe more, because he's the last man. But because he puts 2 hands up, it's okay. You can knock it on in that scenario. One hand there could arguably be yellow card and a penalty try.
All the drama of last weekend for Leicester, all well and good, but they have gone 3 Premiership games without a win. Lost to Sale, lost to Bristol, drew with Quins. The importance of the next 10 minutes or so for the home team as well as the away team, and Julian Montosha replaced by Charlie Clare.
Yeah, probably similar philosophy. They've waited for the scrum to bring Clare on, particularly down in their own Danger zone, Leicester. Dan Cole fresh as well. Just roll the dice and see if you can win a penalty on the opposition ball, which would get rid of all that pressure they're currently under.
Charlie Clare continuing his run of playing a part in every Gallagher Premiership game so far this season. He's still got Nicky Smith, the loose head, to the left-hand side. Leicester, to this point, not using James Whitcomb, the replacement loose head. Leicester's new captain is Ben Youngs. Match beautifully poised as we push into the final 10 of this first game of 2025 in these parts. Townsend had to use it and he was wrapped up by Youngs. Does what he can to hold ball and player up. Had to give it up. Yosefa Scott looks interested. Here he is. Next big wheelbarrow forward. Tommy Rafael has to retreat, or at least stop fighting. Taken by Tua. Again, Wyatt providing this threat on the left-hand side. Hodge and his blonde hair away to the right. Leicester think they might have won it back.
It's Rafael
There's
again,
confirmation.
Stop, please.
And Ben Youngs cleared up towards halfway and he finds touch as well.
Just watching Tommy Rafael, he goes to a couple of breakdowns before he makes the turnover, and he puts his hand on the ball, looks at the referee says no, so he comes back out, he goes in behind the defensive line, he's waiting for another shot that the referee's happier with, falls at his feet, looks at the referee, he's clamped on, he knows he's okay, and he makes the turnover.
Number one.
Just that decision making and making sure you stay on the right side of the referee.
He scored the late and dramatic winning try on the opening day of Sandy Park season in September.
For you guys as well.
That might be a very important late intervention here, with Leicester protecting a slim 6-point lead. Now the change, the final change in the front row, and Nicky Smith off for James Whitcomb.
In 5. More. He's not changed his bind. He's not changed his bind.
Roots.
Exeter, use it.
I've not needed. And in the end it was touched as Townsend got the kick away. Capstick working hard to hold the ground that Exeter have established. Rafael.
Leicester, use it. Just step, please. Step. Thank you.
Youngs again. Up to Hodge. Shape to kick. Then ran. And then ran down a Leicester alleyway, but did well to find his way back out of it.
Use it.
Thistle out.
Thank you. Exeter, use it. Yes.
Stu Townsend's about to be replaced by Tom Cairns as we head into the final 5 minutes. She's feeling they need fresh legs, fresh lungs, fresh mind at scrum half. Pollard, and now Woodward finds some space. Kelly caught with his left hand, kicks with his right foot. Some work to do here. And
keep retreating, Exeter.
That's very nicely done. But Leicester still attacking. Pollard. Youngs. Rather spat back to him. Cracknell. Leicester hunting for the try that would seal the win and the bonus point. Ben Youngs can tell some stories. Tales from these parts. And one of the oldest swingers in town has just scored the try that wins the game for Leicester.
20,000 people with a collective sigh of relief there. It was all a bit edgy. Unfortunately for Exeter, they nearly make the turnover here on Cracknell, and that's what puts off Youssefa Scott. He comes around the corner, he's isolated. Far too much for him to do. Ethan Root's too wide, puts him under pressure. He thinks, I've got to mark the inside shoulder. Ben Youngs, too wily, too much experience, rolling back the years. Was always one of the best at breaking from the base. Maybe not quite got the pace that he used to have, but if he gets a gap that big, he's going to take it.
I tell you what, though, if you're an Exeter fan, you are screaming and throwing things at the TV. Whitcomb comes in from the side to make sure they don't get the turnover, creates the space. That really is turning back the clock, isn't it? Old-fashioned Ben Young show and go inside the guard. I would say accelerated away, more he folded away.
First try since March 2023 against Bristol. Been a while, worth the wait. The yellow card for Rigg comes to its conclusion, but I think that might be the significant moment. Pollard's conversion. It's a 13-point lead, 2.5 minutes to go.
That's what they'll be screaming about, coming from the side. You don't quite see it from that angle, but when you see it high above, it's really quite evident.
Well, Leicester made the absolute most of the period that they were up a man. Will Rigg sitting out for 10 minutes. Hassel, Collins and Youngs with the tries that have restored their lead.
Exeter need to keep pressing. They have to get that losing bonus point. Come away with something.
Back foot, back foot.
It's been a big part of their season, picking up those 1-2 points here and there, even when Newcastle have won more games.
Shilcock's kick, Stewart's chase, the ball might beat them all. Oh, the ball holds up invitingly. And it was great work in the end from Wyatt, who got back. Leicester think they might have scored. Woodward thinks he might have scored.
No, he's shaking his head. I think he tells the officials he's not done it. Lovely kick, wasn't it? Just bounces the wrong way right at the end. Might be worth another look.
Well, it's about Wyatt and whether he got that down.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't, but his chest does, and he's never got control of it.
Heading towards the 80th minute. Exeter not where they want to be if they're pressing for a losing bonus point. Pollard thought about giving it away and then saw the large truck that is Rossi Tuima zeroing him in. Whitcomb and Clare.
Ball's out. Step.
Cracknell. Ooh, lost by Henderson.
You've not released, I can't give you that, sorry. Knock on.
And the Chiefs will have
You never released
30 seconds to rescue something from this.
Scrum.
Efforts in the second half suggest they deserve at least something. And once we're done here, we are off to the Stainlix. Off down the M1 to North London. Saracens arriving ahead of their game with Bristol, and that really promises to be something else. Live with us at 5:15. Just stick with us, put the kettle on, get a plate of biscuits or whatever you want.
I have to say, I've really struggled with my New Year's resolutions and no chocolate.
You can see.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Well, the joy, the relief of last weekend's win against Gloucester for the Chiefs. First this season in the Premiership. One last chance to rescue something here, but they are going to have to do something very special. It's going to be
over there.
reset.
Won't
Player of the
reward
match.
sideways dominance.
I think there's been some really good performances from both sides. I think Roots and Wyatt for Exeter have had really good games.
nice and quick.
I haven't said that Capstick, when he's come on, has made a real difference, but one player stood out for Leicester in his carrying ability. Just the extra metres, the carries, the work rate, the physicality. And that's why our Gallagher Premiership Player of the Match is Ollie Cracknell. He's had a resurgence in his career in the last few weeks, hasn't he? He's been really, really good.
He's been good all season, doing all he can to replace Jasper Wiese and all the work that Wiese did over the last few seasons for Leicester. But this now very much it for Exeter. What can they conjure? Is there any magic left? Is there at least a losing bonus point? Hodge, maybe with him on the ball. Capstick. He's been full of energy since coming on. And work from Cairns.
Nine offside, leaning on the ruck.
Leicester offside. Made back initially by Tuima, so back to the advantage.
Leaning on the ruck, playing the arm. Number 9, leaning on the ruck, playing the arm of the 9.
There's always pride to play for, Nick, when you're at home, but Exeter getting a losing bonus point is not worth a single injury to any one of your players. They're not going to be in contention for the top 4. They're not going to be fighting against Leicester. I'm not saying concede and let them go the length and score, but if I'm a player out there, I'm not taking any chances physically with my body. You're not, though, are you? I mean, it just...
That's the most you thing that's ever been said. I'm not tackling them.
Self-preservation.
My body. What happens if I get injured?
Well, we can lose you, but we can't lose me.
Anyway, Capstick for Exeter. You still have hope.
17, don't change.
It's taking something warm with them on the drive home. James Whitcomb doing what he can to make a nuisance of himself, and he's done enough. Well, Exeter's so much better in the second half. Tommy Wyatt with 2 tries that took them from behind into the lead, after Ollie Cracknell and Cameron Henderson had scored for Leicester in a first half that they had bossed. But then the Wilrig yellow card after 66 minutes opened the door. Leicester made changes. Dan Cole came on, Ben Youngs came on, Hassel Collins scored a try, Ben Youngs scored the 4th. It's a bonus point win for Leicester, a very, very hard-earned bonus point win. Final score at Mattioli Woods, Welford Road. Leicester 28, Exeter 15. Tigers into the playoff positions.